Thank you so much. I am going to use this microphone. I'm just getting over laryngitis, and so my throat is a little bit sketchy still, a little bit. But I just want to tell you, it has been a great day. I have enjoyed learning so much from the sessions that I attended. They were wonderful. And I really appreciate being with not only veteran teachers, but our pre-service teachers and our teachers, and even that are planning to be teachers in high school. I would say that perhaps you have chosen a noble calling, but probably the calling chose you. You were born with a special heart, a heart for caring about your students, a heart that loves learning and also treasures teaching. So you have that special heart. And the truth is, I think you were destined. If you want to be a teacher, you are destined to make a difference. And you are going to make a difference. And some of you are already doing that. Every day you made a difference for me today. And those of you that are in those early years, you're pre-service teachers, I have to pull a little plug for Florida. I want you to get that degree and then stay right here in our great state. Don't you leave us now, because we need teachers. Always need teachers in Florida. And I know that all of you have either received an excellent education or you are receiving an excellent education. But I just want to share two of my passions that I believe can make an impact on student achievement, no matter what grade level you teach or what subject you teach. I think this is something that all of us can use, and these are two of my passions. And to illustrate my point, I would like to tell you a story about a young man that I met at Leesburg High School several years ago. He was actually not my student. The football coach came to me and said, I've got this senior, and he's behind in his credits. He's taken 2 math classes his senior year. Believe it or not, he was taking geometry and algebra 2 at the same time. That's tough. I mean, that's really tough. And his GPA was not quite what it needed to be. He says, but he has potential. This kid, his name Anthony, he can go to college on a football scholarship if we can just help get him there. So at the time, I was tutoring on Monday evenings to try to meet the needs of my band students, my chorus students, my athletes, and even students that had jobs after school. So it was just a good, convenient time. So I said, why don't he come on Monday nights? Because those football coaches, they're not going to let him miss practice. So he came, he started coming, and he was a regular on Monday evenings. Well, as fall progressed, like it starts getting darker earlier. Well, my portable back then was in what we call the back 40 of our school. Our school is huge. It spans 4 blocks. And so there were no lights back there. My husband said, I'm not really that comfortable with you going in the dark and coming in the dark. He said, I think I'll just join you. So I was like, well, sure, come along. So he grabbed a magazine and a book, and we got to that portable. He walked in, found himself a corner, and started reading. Well, I had a lot of kids that night, so I think he started feeling sorry for me because so many people were raising their hands. They were helping each other, but he could see I needed help, which is kind of funny because he actually did not enjoy mathematics as a high school student or a college student, but believe it or not, he remembered. So he joined in and he started helping. So Monday nights became a project for both of us, and I really did appreciate his help. Well, one night we were leaving and we saw Anthony walking, and I had noticed him walking before, but it was cold that night and it was so dark, and you're not supposed to do this, but I did it anyway. I rolled my window down and said, Anthony, do you need a ride? He said, oh, that'd be great. So he hopped in the car, and it became a regular event because we found out later he just didn't have transportation. So he walked to school, and he walked home from practice, and he was walking home quite late. We would leave quite late on Monday evening. So we just started taking him home every night. Well, one night, we were taking him home, and he said, guidance counselor called me in today. I said, whoa, what'd she say? Well, I got to pass all my classes, got to make good grades, and now I found out I got to take economics online or next semester, or I won't graduate. I won't have all my credits in. So my husband and I could hear the anxiety in his voice, and we're in the front seat, he's in the back, and my husband and I kind of giving each other the eye, what are we going to do about this? I hate to admit this, but he actually spoke up before I did. He said, Anthony, why don't you just find out what you have to do to get registered for that online class and bring it next Monday night. What we'll do is every Monday night, we'll do the math thing, and then you can get on one of the computers in the classroom and you can work on economics. Well, that was a good plan. We found out economics is hard. And a little bit of time after math tutor was not going to get it done. No way. And Anthony had struggled a bit with writing, and there was a lot of writing involved. So it just took him a long time to process the information. So finally, we're like, this is not working. So it became a regular event that a couple of times a week, I would pick him up from practice and take him home with me. He would have dinner with our family. And then, of course, sorry, but math is more important for me, so we'd make sure the math was caught up. And then he'd get on our computer and he would work on economics. Well, the end of this part of his story is that he got all of his credits in, and his GPA was raised, and he did graduate that year from high school. Uh-oh. Lost it. There we go. That's actually at baccalaureate services right before graduation. And he did go on to college on a football scholarship. He went to a 2-year school and then transferred to a 4-year school. He got a degree. He actually went on and got a master's degree. And I'm very proud to tell you that he is now a high school teacher and football coach. Yes, another teacher. And he teaches actually in Dallas, Texas, at a very large public Title I school in Texas. I'll tell you one more thing, because I'm real proud of this. He actually just bought his first home. He's the first person in his family to ever do that. So I'm really, really proud of him. Now, I'm telling you this because I want to show you 2 things that made a huge difference in his life. First of all, he did not believe in himself. So we really had to work on that. And I think that's something that you're going to find, those of you that are already teaching or those of you that will be teaching, you're going to find students who don't believe in their abilities. And perhaps some of you have studied growth mindset and fixed mindset. But Anthony had a fixed mindset. He did okay in geometry, to be honest. He did okay with that, but algebra 2, no way. That was really a struggle for him. And he had this fixed mindset that he was born with a certain amount of intelligence, certain amount of talent, and that was it. And there was nothing else there. So we really had to work on that. And as you can see, a person with a fixed mindset, they don't think they can expand their knowledge. Anthony really did have this attitude, and he would say to me, just forget it. Just forget it, Ms. Jerkins. I can't get this. I was like, oh, Anthony, you can't get this. Just going to take a little work, a little perseverance, support that I'm willing to give you, your teachers are willing to give you, your coaches are willing to give you, and you can learn this material. I think that we all probably are a combination of a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. I think we probably all. I bet there's somebody in this room that has said, I'm not a math person. Well, I see. Some of you are smiling. Maybe you might have said, I'm not a good writer. I said that myself. Maybe you've even thought, there's no way I can ever be an artist or a singer. But the truth is, you actually can. You actually can with hard work, determination. You can maximize your abilities. Students with a growth mindset understand that. They understand that with that hard work and perseverance, you can learn anything. And I totally believe that. I've always believed that, but I really didn't have the research to back it up, to be honest with you, till about 5 or 6 years ago. And I found the research, believe it or not, in the front of my math book. It showed the neuroplasticity of the brain and how that when you are learning, Electrical currents are firing back and forth between different parts of your brain. And the more you practice and the more you study, those connections are coated with a protein called myelin, and it forms a pathway where not only you can understand, but you can remember knowledge. The truth is that even the hippocampus part of the brain, which is the part that processes and you acquire and processes spatial information like Algebra 2, when you are learning, it grows in density, weight, and size. So guess what? Students, teachers, we can grow our brains and we can get smarter. And that's what Anthony needed to learn. Well, I was not getting through to Anthony. But one night, and by the way, we're now in basketball season. One night we were sitting at the kitchen table. Oh, he was working and struggling, and the night before he had had an incredible night on the basketball court. So I said, Anthony, man, you really helped us win the game. He said, oh, thank you, Miss Durkins. You know, he was really proud. And I said, well, you know what really did it? It was those free throw shots. You just kept making them, and the game was so close. If you hadn't have made those free throw shots, we'd have lost. He smiled. I said, Anthony, how did you get so good at making those free throw shots? He just so calm and said, oh, Miss Durkins, we practice that every day. I said, well, guess what? You practice math every day, you can be just as good at Algebra 2 as you are at making those free throw shots. He looked up to me, kind of made him a little bit mad, to be honest with you. He never gets mad about anything. He's, Miss Durkins, you really think I can learn all this? Because he was struggling that night. I said, absolutely. A little hard work, little perseverance, and support that I'm willing to give you, you absolutely. Not only can you learn Algebra 2, you can learn any subject in high school or college. Well, when I was preparing for this talk, I called Anthony. We're still close. I'll tell you about that later. And I said, Anthony, you remember that night at the kitchen table? And I asked you about, oh, he remembered immediately. It just took a few comments, and I remember. And you know what? He told me something he had never told me before. He said that night, for the first time, he realized that if he could work hard, he could listen to his coaches and get better in a sport, that he could work hard, listen to his teachers, and get better in the classroom. He said, I had seen myself playing football on a college, at a college on that field. He said, but I really had not been able to see myself in a college classroom. He said, but that night, for the first time, I thought, you know what? I can do this. I really can. So, I definitely believe in growth mindset, and it took him changing his mindset to change his attitude toward himself and believe that he actually had the ability to learn. Now, I don't know how many of you have studied the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, but I would like to recommend that book. It is full of stories of artists, businessmen, musicians, teachers, students. It's just amazing the people that just by changing their mindset became great successes. And I know that you've heard Michael Jordan's story and many others, but one of my favorites is actually Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. She grew up in low-income housing in the Bronx. Her mother come from Puerto Rico, spoke Puerto Rico, and had spoken Spanish in the home. Her dad only had a third-grade education, and unfortunately he was an alcoholic. And so she did have some struggles at home, but she had a lot of struggles in school. Part of it was the language barrier, but she really, really struggled. But her mom, although I'm sure she didn't call it growth mindset, her mom convinced her that she could learn anything, and she emphasized work ethic. So I think it worked out pretty well. She's the Supreme Court Justice for the United States of America. So, 2 things that I want to share with you. Number 1, I really want you to study it. I want you to believe it. And I want you to embrace and teach your students growth mindset. Because you might believe in them, but they've got to believe in themselves. The second thing that I really want to talk to you about is mentoring. Some students need mentors. And my high school is a Title I high school. We are the only one in our county, and we do have a lot of students who really lack academic support, even personal support. And that's how Anthony was. Anthony's parents had actually passed away when he was young. He had grown up in South Florida, mostly Immokalee, and he had kind of been passed from grandma's house to aunt's house to cousins to kind of wherever couch he could live on for a while. And he really had never had that academic or personal support. And at the end of his junior year, he was sent to live with a stepbrother, and that's where I met him in his senior year in Leesburg. He was living with a stepbrother, his sister-in-law, and some cousins. Anthony had a place to live. That is pretty much the end of that story. He lettered in 4 sports his senior year: football, basketball, tennis, and track. Not once did any family member ever come to support him, even in athletics, and certainly not in academics. Actually, his family did not come to his graduation, so he just didn't have that support. And you know what? We can all do a little bit to give that support, and we don't all have to do it the same way. You might be like the football coach. Coach didn't have time to tutor Anthony in Algebra 2 or geometry. He knew someone that could help him. So, you can always refer. If it's not something you have time to do, you could refer to someone else. It might be like the guidance counselor. That guidance counselor called him in and told him about a problem that was coming up in the future. You know what? We see that as teachers. We see maybe a gap of knowledge, or even in high school, I will see a problem with scheduling. You might see a problem, but you can warn the student. Tell them ahead of time, hey, we got to take care of this now, so it doesn't become a major problem. There might be someone in this room who is like my husband, not a teacher of math for sure, and not a teacher of economics, but he saw a student, got to know a kid, and was willing to spend a little time with him. And that's really what it takes sometimes. And certainly as teachers, if you have the time, and first-year teachers will not have time, I'm going to say that right now, not happening. Okay, don't even think about it. But after a few years, when things settle down, then hopefully you will have time to mentor one student, or at least find a mentor. And you know what, you students right here, you high school students or college students, I bet you have a cousin or a sibling or a friend that might need some good advice, maybe need a little help in a subject. So if we all, just think of how many people are in this room. If we all just mentored one person, we can have such a positive impact on their life. Mentoring matters, and it works. A student that meets with a mentor regularly is 52% less likely to miss a day of school. That's huge. We can't teach them if they're not there. 55% more likely to enroll in college. That is a large number. It's over half. 59% of mentored students increase their grades. Their grades get higher. And 100% of students that have mentors have better attitudes toward their education. So you can certainly see mentoring is huge. I believe that teaching growth mindset and mentoring can at least be part of another of my passions, which is closing the achievement gap in the state of Florida. And you know what? We can be proud of our work in Florida. We have made progress. Just recently, I don't know how that happened, but whatever. Just recently, Governor Scott released our latest graduation rates, which we are now at a 14-year high. It's actually 82.3%. So we are making progress. We're doing better. Another thing that I'm very excited about is in Florida, because of high school, we actually rank number 1 in the entire nation for AP participation. That's pretty impressive. I really think more impressive, though, is we rank 4th in the nation in AP performance. So not only are we getting those kids in classes, but they're actually doing well. So I think that's very impressive. And for you elementary teachers, according to the NAEP, our 4th graders outperformed the national average in both reading and math the last time they took the test. So we are making progress. We're doing good things. But what about the 17.7% that didn't graduate? What about those kids that aren't taking AP classes? We can't lose anybody. Every student can succeed. And that's what I want to make sure, and I hope you want to make sure that that happens. We just want to make sure that every Florida student has equal access to a high-quality education with dedicated, caring, certified teachers who will help students believe in their abilities and also, if they need it, find a mentor. Generate that support from families or community members so that every student truly does reach his highest potential. So I hope in your planning that you will remember to teach growth mindset. And there's a word that I think is very powerful. When your student says, I'm not a math person, you just say, well, not yet, but you can do it. And you let them know you're going to be there to support them and help them if they need that. So yet is a small little word, but it is so mighty because it lets a student know, you know what? That teacher believes in me. Maybe I don't have it yet, but that teacher knows I can get it, and I will get it. So yet, to me, is just such a powerful word. And again, I hope you will find a mentor or be the mentor that changes the direction of a life, because that's what mentoring does. And I think what you actually end up finding out is not only do you change a life, but your life is actually changed too. You will find joy and empathy and understanding. It truly is more blessed to give than to receive. And I have to tell you that my family was blessed by Anthony. He taught us many things. He taught us about poverty, to be honest with you. And he taught us how hard it is to get out of poverty. But on the other hand, he taught us about resilience and the power of determination. And he taught my children some things, to be more grateful for what they had. Because suddenly they realized they had been blessed just to have a roof over their head and a bed to sleep in and food that they knew would be at the dinner table each night. He also shared his culture with us. His background is Haitian, and so we've learned to eat a few new foods. I don't really like all of them, but I'm trying. And the truth is, we actually fell in love with Anthony, and he ended up loving us back. So the truth is, he is actually part of our family now. The time we had established this relationship, he was 18, so we didn't go through the formality of adopting him. But this is my family at Christmas. And these two pictures were taken in New York City as the Florida Teacher of the Year. Macy's actually gave us a trip to see the parade at Thanksgiving, so we had a wonderful time. And he does come home for holidays and goes on vacation, comes home in the summer. But one thing I have to tell you, he always comes home for Mother's Day. So that means the world to me. And this is the kids being silly in St. Augustine, which is our favorite beach, our favorite vacation spot. But Anthony truly is part of our family, and we have been blessed. You know, we gained a son, my husband and I, and my biological children gained a brother. And it's not something that we had imagined, it's not something that we had planned. And I just want to tell you, as educators, you never know what is behind the next door. You never know what student's going to enter your class. It's going to impact your life, and you will impact theirs as well. So be open. Be open. You know, just whatever happens, happens. Take it. It's a blessing. So seize the opportunity to make that difference. Not only in the classroom, yes, that's your number one priority, okay? But also in the personal lives of your students. And I will share with you that my motto is learn with me. So I've had a great day today because I've gotten to enjoy learning. And if you are into the Twitter thing, because the state of Florida loves Twitter, that's one thing I had to learn. I did have an account. I hadn't used it for several years, but they like for me to tweet. So this is my Twitter, and I've already tweeted about being here today and enjoying and being with all of you, and that's just the rest of my information. But thank you so much for your kind attention. I certainly appreciate it.